Hey folks, it's Jim. The Peaceful Prepper did a wonderful video tonight on food storage and a power outage. Fantastic. Strongly recommend if you don't have much information on that to go watch it. Her presentations are fantastic. She is extremely professional in the way she presents things, and the information is always great. But she had brought up a point. I just wanted to share my little bit of information since that's kind of what I really am leaning towards when I get my camera and all that to do on my channel, which is solar and other things. But I wanted to share first my refrigerator here, which I'm pleasantly surprised is 6 years old. It only draws 100 watts of power. So this little 400 watt inverter will run it. Now, 100 watts of power doesn't mean that's all that it draws, because it has startup amps for the condenser, the compressor motor. So it can shoot up to between 3 and 400 watts. Always calculate anything with a motor, its standard operating range, and then multiply that times 3 for startup amps and power draw. So you have to size an inverter to that 3 times the amount of the initial or the regular drawing range of the device that you wanted to power. So know that. Always talk with an electrician. Seek out a professional. Ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help, and always seek out help from a professional when dealing with electricity. And there's probably someone you know in your neighborhood or the local community thing that you belong to who can answer all the questions for you, or maybe even drop by your house for 5 minutes and make sure you're doing everything right. So safety, safety, safety when dealing with electricity. That's my motto. That's what I always feel it should be. But when I plugged this in, I discovered that my refrigerator, and this is a kilowatt meter, you see this plug down here, okay, that plug is where you're going to plug your fridge in. This plug on the back goes into your outlet. Now when you plug this device in, each one of these buttons down here will tell you volts, watts, amps, right? And then it also has a 24 or a time range on it, where you push the button, it will give you your totals over whatever time you left this plugged into the device. So you can pretty much find out what any device in your home is drawing over a 24-hour period with this device, or any period that you wish to test. And that's how I started. When I started in solar, this is the first thing I did, to analyze my power usage first before I even started building a system. And I believe still today that's the most important thing one does. Change the way we live before we go spending multiple thousands of dollars on equipment that we probably don't need if we change our lifestyle in a few simple ways. But anyway, so that was the first thing I did, kilowatt meter. Then once I found out it was only drawing 100 watts while it was operating, I tested over 24 hours. What I found out was over 24 hours that refrigerator drew 1 kilowatt of power, which absolutely shocked me. I did not know my refrigerator was only drawing 30 kilowatts a month. That was incredible to me. I knew it was efficient, but I didn't know it was that good. And they're just getting better. Remember, my refrigerator is 21 cubic feet, and it's 6 years old. So it's not a small refrigerator, and it is 6 years old. So if you have a newer refrigerator, they draw even less. Okay, everything's getting more and more efficient, so it takes less and less to power it. But okay, with this device, okay, this is the inverter, all right, and this is a cheap inverter you can pick up, and my refrigerator runs fine off of it. Again, check with the manufacturer or the technicians that work for the facility that you bought your refrigerator from to make sure what kind of power it will tolerate, okay, because there is pure sine wave and then there's modified sine wave inverters. The cheaper inverters are all modified sine wave, and every piece of equipment has a different level of sensitivity, so make sure you check all these things out. And again, that's why I say consult with somebody who knows what they're doing always with regards to electricity, because cheaper is not always better, okay, with regards to electricity. All right, but anyway, this little device runs my refrigerator, okay. It may not run yours, but it does mine just fine. Okay, and if you notice, it has the 3 power outlets over here, and then down here, these are all both USB ports, 5 volt USB ports that charge my computer, cell phones, anything else in a power outage. Now, and when I started moving over to solar, that's what I did. The first thing I did is I didn't want to get up at 0 degrees or 20 below and go start a generator. I wanted to plug my refrigerator and my pellet stove into something and run them through the night, so I didn't have to go out there in the middle of the night and start a generator. And this is back when I had a hand pull generator. Now I have an electric start one, so it's easy. But so then that was my thought is I don't want to be out there in the middle of the night anymore. I'm getting older, and I don't want to be screwing around out in the middle of a blizzard. So what I did is I got a 250 amp hour battery, which is huge, by the way, and they are very costly. So that's not something you'll need to do for an emergency situation. 12 volt deep cycle battery with significant amps in it, about 100 amp hours will be sufficient to run your refrigerator for a while. And again, it depends on your refrigerator. I don't know what you have, only you know, and only someone who's looking at your stuff knows, so all of this stuff is subjective. But anyway, with that battery I can run my pellet stove and my refrigerator for 24 hours, and then my solar panels kick in, they recharge the battery, and the cycle continues if we have sun. Okay, and usually after a storm, the storm passes, there's usually a pretty good crisp, cold, bright sun out there, so I get plenty of power back into the battery. And anyway, that's how I did it. I started with solar very simply like this. For the basic needs that I had for this home to keep it operational during a power outage, which we experience all the time up here. And it was very cost effective. Again, my inverter here was only about 50 bucks. The battery, I got my battery used. The ships have to turn in their big AGM batteries. This battery would normally cost $500. It only cost me 150 bucks at the local store that I have an arrangement with the guy. When the ships turn in their batteries, I go pick them up on the cheap. And that's the way I do it. But I've been doing this for quite a while. So again, ask somebody who knows what they're doing. Always check with somebody who is a master electrician and can make sure that you're absolutely safe when you play with this stuff. Electricity is very dangerous, okay? So make sure that you do that. And make sure you absolutely know what you're doing when it comes to electricity, okay? Especially within your home. But anyway, the neat thing about using a 12 volt setup is that I can charge it off a plug in my car, off the charging system of my car if I have to. Okay? And that's something you can get information on and how to set up. Your car is designed to charge a 12 volt battery. So think about that. Your car is a massive generator with regards to 12 volts. Okay? So it's just something I wanted to share, and people oftentimes don't think about that. And a lot of people go into solar and they go 24, 36, or 48 volts to reduce the line size and cut down costs in wiring, which is a great idea. However, when they get into a pickle with a failure somewhere and they can't charge their system because they don't have a 48 volt truck or car, it gets a little complicated. So that's why I always recommend staying at 12 volts. While you need bigger lines to get to your inverter, if your inverter is close enough to your battery, it's really not that big a deal. You don't need a lot of wire. So, and you can always find, well, I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, it's a simple, cost-effective way to run your refrigerator during a power outage that's not very expensive. And remember, 12 volts is 12 volts. So, and batteries vary in their capacity. But there are plenty of them out there. You can get them on Amazon. There's so many varieties as well. And I think Amazon ships for free. But again, I go to my local battery store and I get the recycled batteries from the shipping industry. They can only use them 2 years by international law, so they have to turn in a perfectly good battery that I go pick up. But I got to tell you, folks, these are monster batteries. Okay, so be aware of that. It will require 2 of you to go pick one of these up. All right. Now, not if you're young and you got a strong back and all of that. You can probably tote this thing around. However, I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend 2 people toting one of these batteries around. But anyway, that's how I got started into solar. I realized there were simple, cost-effective ways to take care of my problems and make my life more convenient that were fairly simple to do. And again, always check with a professional, get the training. I've actually gone to school now, so I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing. But again, always check your own situation. Remember, situational awareness, attention to detail, safety, safety, safety. Always safety first. And I will put a disclaimer on this, okay, so somebody doesn't run out there plugging junk in. Remember, this is only my experience, what I've done, and it has greatly simplified my life in these 12 to 24-hour power outages that we experience up here all the time. I don't have to mess with my generator. I don't have to do any of that. My house runs, and I truly enjoy that. And I run a 2 kilowatt solar array that's AC off of Enphase inverters, and that pretty much keeps my power bill down to like 12 bucks a month. You know, so I mean, I've been going at this a lot, and I'm building a huge DC system now to power my camp. My camp I've been doing off a portable power station, but I'm actually going to run it off of 12-volt panels. So, and those are the videos that I'd really like to get to. And when I get my video camera that is coming in, and the training to be able to use it, I'll be able to share more of those things with you. And I hope in some way this has possibly been helpful. Again, check with somebody who knows what they're doing. But again, this is doable, and it is cost effective now. And again, you don't really need solar panels to charge these batteries. If you get the battery, you got the inverter. If the battery's charged, hey, it works. So, and that's the key right there, is having multiple ways to charge the batteries in these emergency situations. But anyway, experience, strength, and hope. Hope this maybe helped somebody or possibly gave somebody an idea. And again, read the disclaimer. I will make sure I put that in there. Always check with a trained professional before you do anything electrical in your house or anywhere else. Jim out.